winner takes all. Who do you think is the strongest? Like, who would win a competitive fighting round of quarterbacks?
I'm not 100% sure. Say hi to YouTube, by the way. We got it.
Hey, we're
YouTube
back.
works. All right. So we're having a melee brawl between 32 starting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Who would win?
Right, because you got to. So who can we take right up for? Like Tom Brady,
Taking him out.
He's out.
Brock
Right.
Purdy, too young, out.
Right.
Trevor Lawrence, too pretty, out. Justin Herbert, too pretty, out.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with that. Aaron Rodgers out.
Aaron Rodgers will just sit there and try to align everyone's chakras, so he's out.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson, Mr. Fit.
I feel like Geno Smith because he lost.
Geno Smith is scrappy.
Well, and he took a punch to the face. That's why wasn't he out in the Jets when he was first drafted, or like the second or third season, like after Rex Ryan was gone. I forget who it was. He actually signed with the Steelers, but there was a locker room brawl where Geno Smith got punched in the face. He was out for 8 weeks, so he knows how to take a punch.
Yeah, but clearly not because he was out for 8 weeks.
Well, but he's still in the league. He comes back. I think Geno Smith would be high up there. Kenny Pickett, no. He doesn't have that.
Patrick Mahomes, no, you wouldn't want to break his hand.
But he's so athletic.
I honestly think Joe Burrow would win in a fight. Yeah,
Joe Burrow's cool, but he's like white suburban cool. I don't think he's got a lot of like physical I would not put him up there. I would put Patrick Mahomes up there. I just feel like he's probably spent a lot of time beating the crap out of his younger brother. So he's probably
not hard enough.
Right. Yeah, well that's true. The quarterback from Chicago.
Justin Fields.
Yeah, Justin Fields. I feel like he might be
a scrappy dude, right?
Yeah, there. He might be a brawler. Jared Goff, no.
Zach Wilson, I think, would be. Here's why I would disqualify Zach Wilson, because he is just not liked.
Yeah,
and I think for his own safety, we shouldn't let him participate.
Yeah, no, he is very a punchable personality.
When the entire locker room groans when they hear that you're the starter, I mean, it's not a good look.
Sure,
it doesn't look good for you. Yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting. Josh Allen's a big dude.
He is a big man.
Tall, white, dude. I was to say, speaking of fights, he was getting chippy out there with some of the Bengals after plays. They'd come up and hit him or swat.
He would definitely be. I think he would definitely make the Sweet 16 for sure.
I think
for sure. Yeah, he's definitely a better fighter than the other 16, than at least 16.
This is why the NFL needs to implement fights, though, because like in hockey, you can put these players against each other and go, oh, I know who's going to win in a fight because that guy did it last weque. NFL, it's like they even try to. We know Mason Rudolph won't win any fights. He's going to get bashed on the head with a helmet.
We know that.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting thought experiment. We will have to dive back into that a little bit more.
Maybe we can make a bracket.
We'll do a bracket in the off season. We'll come back each week and do a little research. So all that to say, Bills are out. Bengals are moving on.
Trey Lance would win. I think Trey Lance. He's the most physical specimen. I think Trey Lance is. We haven't seen. He's not the greatest thrower of football, but he is a physical specimen. You know what? That would be my vote. That would be my
Trey
vote.
Lance. Okay. We'll make the bracket. Yeah. We'll look at it. It'll be like March Madness kind of deal, except we'll be making up a lot of the results.
All of the results. Yeah.
All of the results. Yeah. So yeah, all that stems from Bills are out, Bengals are in, moving on to championship weekend. Another one kind of broke my heart was Jaguars lose to the Chiefs in Arrowhead. My heart wanted Jacksonville. My brain told me Kansas City was going to win. It was an awesome game, and Jacksonville was never out of it, right? I mean, they hung in there towards the very end. And yeah, we can sit here and talk about the Chiefs. There's one thing I do want to mention about the Chiefs in a minute, but I am very interested to see what the Jags do next, because they have a young Trevor Lawrence who's hungry. He's made it to the playoffs now. Now he wants more. Doug Peterson, the quarterback guru, who has taken Nick Foles to win a Super Bowl. I'm so excited to see what this Jags team turns into until they play the Steelers, in which case I hope they're terrible again. But if their paths never cross except in the playoffs or whatever, like I'm very interested to see how good Jacksonville can get now that they seemingly know what they're doing.
No,
right? They have nowhere to go but up anymore, I feel like.
Yeah, no. I mean, this draft is obviously gonna play a pivotal role when you're when and this is that time, man, when you have a rookie quarterback on that small contract, when they're not eating up 10 to 12% of your cap hits, you have the ability to, fund positions of need and have some luxury in there. This is when you build depth, because that's so crucial to this NFL.
Yeah.
So yeah, the future should be bright for Jacksonville.
And they're in a division that is crumbling.
Yeah,
the AFC South, the Colts are nobodies anymore. The Titans aren't as good as everyone thinks they are.
Yeah, and they're about to be all changes, and they're
Houston Texans haven't been relevant since J.J. Watt's rookie season. So.
Houston, I think, is going to have that back balance year next year. All those picks, and oh my gosh, they have the Browns picks. They're going to have a lot of capital, and depending on the head coach that they get, I think they're that's a very attractive spot for people for head coaches. Sean Payton and there gets to pick his own quarterback. That'd be pretty.
Yeah, he'd probably love that. I haven't heard anything about him. I just saw him on the Fox halftime show.
He's been interviewed by every NFL vacancy head coaching position except for the Indianapolis Colts, because they're just weird to him.
Yeah, I think the Colts don't want to win anymore. I think the Colts are giving up. So you mentioned depth and how important it is in this NFL. The Chiefs have it. The Chiefs have it at the most important position, which is quarterback.
Yeah.
So Patrick Mahomes takes an ugly spill. Lineman falls on his ankle. Doesn't look pretty. He can't walk on his own, or he does, but it's a heavy limp, right? And this is early. This is like first quarter, second quarter, something like that. And of course, all Chiefs fans' hearts drop, because that's not the guy you want to see. You would sacrifice Juju Smith-Schuster on an altar to keep Patrick Mahomes healthy. So he goes down, looks like an ankle injury, can't really walk. They take him out. And they send in Chad Henne, the backup, 37-year-old Chad Henne, career backup guy. And he does exactly what a backup quarterback is supposed to do. Hang on to the ball, get down the field, and score.
Yep.
And he did. It was
a 9-minute drive or something like that?
Yeah, it was like an 8-9 minute drive all the way down the field, touchdown result. Literally the perfect backup quarterback, because he did what a backup's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it's just that just screams the importance. So even if you take Patrick Mahomes out of it, sure, if you get a half of a game with Chad Henne, you might have a better chance of winning, but it's still not guaranteed, and that was proven.
Well, look at San Francisco; they're their third quarterback.
Yeah,
and they're going to play for the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl next week. It's just this is a different league. The schedules are longer. You have to have we are not far away from having like a conversation where the national talking pundits are going to complain about the hefty size of a backup quarterback's contract. That we are a season or two away from that. Sean Payton did that. Sean Payton. When we talk about the great coaches, I don't know why I'm on a Sean Payton kick for some reason, but he did that with that
Hill.
Who could play multiple players, but they dished out hit. And these head coaches have that foresight. They can see that coming down the road, and I think we're going to see more of that. I think we're going to see more investment in the backup quarterback position.
I think you're right. Yeah, especially again, you mentioned Brock Purdy. He's the third string quarterback, for God's sakes, and he's won 7 straight regular season and the postseason.
Yep. Definitely looked human. Looked human.
Looked a little bit more human this week. But yeah, I guess just in the sense of Kansas City, they just prove that they don't necessarily need Patrick Mahomes out there to beat you. Their backup quarterback can do it just as easily. But he comes back. He's all taped up and ready to go. And then there you go. Andy Reid wins his 10th playoff game with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
He won 10 with the Eagles. That makes him the first coach in history to do 10 wins in the playoffs with 2 separate teams.
Yeah.
So good for you, Andy. Genius coach. And I feel like I haven't really appreciated that, because when I grew up, when I was really young, he was the head coach of the Eagles. I didn't know anything about him before that, and I didn't really pay attention because he was the Eagles coach. So whatever.
Always around. Those Eagles teams are always around, always playing around the NFC Championship. I think they made it 3 years in a row or something like that. They finally made it against, and then lost to the Patriots. The famous T.O. comeback. But he is. and that's what matters in these when you get deep in the in the playoffs. And so let me ask you this: of the coaches remaining, who's the best coach?
Well, immediately jumps to Andy Reid or
rank the coaches.
Rank them. Okay, I'm gonna go Andy Reid,
right,
number one, because he's my boy.
Yep. He's got the hardware. He's got the record. I agree with that.
Yeah. Then Shanahan in San Francisco.
Yep.
Again, great track record, taking this 23-year-old nobody rookie, Mr. Irrelevant, through to the championship round. So
just built a beast of a roster.
Yeah, it's got an amazing roster, knows how to coach, great guy. I'm gonna go Zach Taylor next, coach of the Bengals, because he took a nothing franchise and has been able to turn it into a legitimate contender for years in a row.
Yeah.
The only hiccup they had was Joe Burrow's first year when he got injured, and then didn't get much out of it. But then the second year, third year, I mean, he's been great. So I'll go Zach Taylor. Then who's that leave last? Who's the fourth team? Goodness gracious. Philadelphia. That's right. Nick Sirianni, first year head coach. Not a lot of experience. I mean, he obviously has a lot of coaching experience, but not as a head coach, right? I respect the guy a lot, but he's up against he's going against Shanahan this weekend. Yeah. That's going to be tough.
And it's. I think I agree with your list. I'd probably flip Sirianni with Zach Taylor just because I think Zach Taylor has greatly benefited from an AFC North that is usually a pretty brutal division. Has just been, luck definitely plays a factor in his success with, the Steelers transitioning from franchise quarterbacks with Lamar Jackson not being healthy, and then the Browns obviously being the Browns.
The doormat.
Yeah, I think he has benefited from that, but he does get those players ready for those big games, and but I would flip that just because I have a gut. It's more my gut. I just don't think Zach Taylor's that. Genius.
If anything, I would say Zach Taylor and Nick Sirianni are like tied for third.
Sure, yeah,
because Nick Sirianni. So there was a moment in the dump, and again, the Eagles kind of put the boots to the Giants, right? I mean, it wasn't even close. It was probably the most boring game of the weekend. Just it was 28-0 at one point. Well, and so that's what I want to talk about. This is what made me really like Nick Sirianni for a second, and that was they score their fourth touchdown, and it is 27-0. He sends out his offense to go for two. Don't need to, right? But he sends them out to go for two, and they go out and they start hard counting to try and get the Giants to jump, put them on the 1 yard line. If he gets it, great. He goes for two at the half yard line, basically. If he doesn't, he calls timeout, then he kicks a field goal. So that play, goes through. The Giants don't jump. Nick calls a timeout. Well, I guess one of his special teams coaches or something said something to him on the sideline about how dumb a play it was. And the camera pans to him as he's turning around aggressively away from his coach and yelling, "I know what the F I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm the head coach." And I'm like, that's the dude I want coaching my team who knows what he's doing. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. Just trust me, I'm the head coach. So I respected that. I respected that a lot. I think, and Sirianni's just a Philly guy. I mean, he is a
for sure
loudmouth, smash mouth kind of coach.
Inbred, all the
He, I think, I don't know if I talked about it last week, but they did the coaches yearly pictures or photo shoot or whatever, and Sirianni was there, but he was kind of in the background on his own, just. I don't want to be here, man. I want to watch film and I want to compete. I don't want to. Why are we taking stupid pictures? That's just the kind of guy he is. So, good for him. He's going to have a good future in Philly, regardless of how far they make it this week or this year, I should say. He's going to have a really good future. That tangent. Yeah, we mentioned the Eagles put the boots to the Giants, 38-0. Not enough. Giants had no offense. The Eagles had an amazing defense. That's a bad time for anybody. Giants couldn't catch a break. Just turnovers. Defense, overall wet blanket. The Eagles imposed their will on them all night. Honestly, the most surprising part of the whole game was just that A.J. Brown wasn't really a factor. The Giants made sure that they were going to cover A.J. Brown. It didn't matter. It clearly doesn't matter. Eagles win, and they get to host the NFC Championship, which I think the year they won the Super Bowl, they hosted the NFC Championship too.
I don't remember. Yeah, and with a backup quarterback.
Yeah,
that might have been it. Yeah,
and I mean, Hurts is healthy. I don't think anybody can stop this Eagles team. If anyone could, it would be the Niners. But I don't even think they can.
Right, and I like San Francisco a lot on that roster, but watching the Eagles, who stops them? I mean, who can stop them? And I don't think I felt. I don't know, and and I don't. I thought Dallas was a lot of overhype. Like they're benefiting from being America's quote unquote team.
Yeah. I don't know who they asked that because
it was right.
I'm an American. They ain't my team.
Yeah. If it was up to me, Texas would just go back to Mexico. But
California would fall off into the ocean. We'd be all happy. Everybody would be happy.
Yeah. Well, except for the GDP. But I thought that game was too close. I thought that a very, very middle of the road defense was able to keep up with and manage. And, Philadelphia, can San Francisco put up 30 points in a game? I mean, can they put up 30 points against Philadelphia? Because I feel like Philadelphia is good for 30.
Yeah, I think they are. Now, so, the Cowboys game. So Cowboys lose 19-12, right? It was closer than people probably would have liked.
And Brock threw what, two interceptions, or
he at least threw one.
Yeah, and I think maybe he lost the fumble, but he just looked human.
Yeah, he looked human again.
Looked like a rookie. He looked like
a bring him back down to earth right before the NFC Championship. That's when you want a little bit of a humbling experience. Sure. You don't want to get humbled in the championship. You want to get humbled right before it, right? Yeah. As long as you still win. But the San Francisco had help. Brett Maher misses another field goal right off the bat. Well, it was blocked, but still, it shades of last week where he misses 4 out of 5. Yep. Immediately gets a little jittery. He ended up coming back and making 4 field goals or whatever, but the Cowboys could not stop the run nearly as well as they would have liked to. Dak choked because Dak chokes. That's what Dak Prescott does. He gets to the playoffs, and he chokes the game away. Throws 2 interceptions really early that just kind of suck all the air away from the Cowboys sideline. George Kittle is an absolute monster of a man.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I don't know how the San Francisco 49ers.
He won me a fantasy championship. I love that man.
Yeah. I don't know how anybody can look at that team and go, if it weren't for George Kittle, they wouldn't be where they are right now.
I agree.
For the most part, obviously, he's a very large part of it, but he's not all of it.
I concur.
Yes. Brock Purdy, rookie mistakes, but nothing serious enough to lose him the game.
Brock Purdy didn't look Purdy.
Yeah, not that Purdy. He ain't that Purdy. Honestly, though, neither of these teams really wowed me. It was a pretty standard affair for an NFC rivalry like this. And you're right. If San Francisco wants to beat Philadelphia, they need to look better than this.
Yeah, clearly. You got to control the clock, which they can do. I mean, Christian McCaffrey and stuff like that. And they do have, who do you take all the players involved or whatever, take all the players out of it or whatever. But historically, it always seems to be what wins playoff games, and it's a strong run game and a strong, defensive line. That has seemed to be a formula, tried and true throughout the years with, few exceptions, not few, but some exceptions.
Yep.
And they have that, but you are going to need, there's going to be a point in that game where there's going to be, 2, 3, 4 points where the quarterback has to make a play, and it's going to be 3rd and long, on the wrong side of the field, and you have to make those plays. And do you trust a guy in the 7th round, Mr. Irrelevant, to do that? Mm-hmm. And
a lot of it's going to come down to Brock Purdy did really well because Kyle Shanahan is a really good coach.
Yeah.
I feel like even after all is said and done, he's not going to get all the credit he deserves because he deserves a lot of credit. He's not letting these spotlights really shake him up too much.
Sure.
Again, he makes some mistakes because he's human. He's not this god rookie who just
he's not Ben Roethlisberger who went 15-1.
Right. Still lost the AFC.
Still lost in the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
Should have lost to the Jets.
Should have lost to the Jets. So yeah, I mean that it was an interesting weekend. I will admit, like each day had a really boring game, and then each day had a really exciting, or not really exciting, but a close game. Like the Jacksonville game was probably the best game of the weekend, I think, because they were never out of it. It was close. You're always kind of rooting for the underdog. You can only root for the underdog so many times before you're just like, all right, like reality, it's time to set in. Mahomes is healthy though. It's a high ankle sprain officially, but they took X-rays. He wasn't walking in a boot. As far as I know, he's out there practicing every day still.
He's playing. He's for sure.
So he's healthy. But man, the Bengals just look good. The Bengals look so much better, I think.
If it wasn't for the high ankle sprain, I mean, I would pick the Chiefs. That high, I mean, it limits him, like what kind of formations he's going to be able into. I think we're going to see a little more pistol than what we've seen Kansas City run. But their offensive packages are so deep. Yeah. Where they are going, and their disguises are so good. You don't know what they're going to run.
Yeah. It just feels like both of these coaches. So Zach Taylor's going up against Andy Reid.
Yeah.
While Zach Taylor's not a first-year head coach, he is still pretty young in the game.
Yeah.
Nick Sirianni, first-year head coach, going up against Kyle Shanahan. I mean, it doesn't look great for those guys. I mean, just from a coaching mindset, right? Like your players are going to do what your players are going to do. But if you're trying to out-coach the other guy, advantage Reid, advantage Shanahan. Just because they've been there, done that, they're revered offensive gurus. They pretty much know what your defense is going to do as soon as you send them out on the field, and they know how to counter it.
Yeah, no, I think that's
I'm just thinking like head coach chess that they play with each other, you know?
And it's situational, right? So what kind of looks are we going to get when it's the third and 5+?
Situations are situational.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
so and how much can I rely on my coordinators when we deviate from the scheduled plays and stuff like that, and how much adjustments can I am I willing, can I do, and sticking with the game plan and stuff like that. Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. So it's gonna be a good weekend of football.
I think so. So this past weekend, we had our division round picks. I picked Chiefs, Eagles, Bills, 49ers. You picked Chiefs, Giants, Bengals, 49ers. We each had one wrong, right? That puts me at 8-2. You're sitting at 7-3. You can still catch up because this week, championship pick. So first off, NFC championship game is going to be Sunday at 3 p.m. San Francisco goes to Philly. San Francisco and Philly are the 1 and 2 seeds, respectively. That is going to be a tough game. I'm picking the Eagles because I think the Eagles look.
I'm gonna pick the Niners in here, but I'm going to go back and forth and who I actually bet on with my hard-earned dollars. Will probably be a game time decision, but for the sake of this and for the sake of parity, I'm going to choose the. Shanahan's been there before. I think he can rely on a running game if they can control that clock. Roll back the calendar 365 or 367 days ago or whatever. Were not the same conversations being had with the Packers and the 49ers in the NFC Championship, and there was no way Aaron Rodgers was going to lose that. That team was much better, and we ended up having. Wait, was that last year?
No, it was a couple
years ago. So
Chiefs, Niners.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Last year was what? Rams were the team of destiny.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean everybody in the season.
No, they weren't the team of destiny. They were the team with the biggest paychecks.
Yeah,
They paid for that Super Bowl.
I love that team. That is one of my favorite non-Steelers Super Bowl teams in NFL history.
They paid for it, and they're going to be paying for it for a while because.
I think they're okay with that. Yeah, I think they're okay with that. I think
they sold their souls, but they got what they wanted. Like it would be different if they lost.
Yeah.
Right. It'd be like, well, then it clearly wasn't worth it. But yeah, it's worth it. The Rams get another Super Bowl.
Yep.
Cool.
Absolutely. In a new city, and a fairly new city that they. that they're in. Yep, absolutely. So yeah, I think Shanahan's been in there before. He knows where it is. I think he uses his experience. So yeah, I'm going to go with the 49ers. And they have that run game, and they do have that defense that can just stop guys. If they can put up that pressure up front, which is what they're good at, and they can control the clock with the run games and the creative schemes.
Yeah.
I got to go for it. I'm talking myself into it. I'm going 49ers.
You almost talked me into it because I was like flipping coins in my head, right? I'm just thinking like, well, yeah, all the reasons you said. Kyle Shanahan's been there before. Nick Sirianni's first-year head coach. He's never made it. Jalen Hurts has never been this far before. Like most of this team, other than AJ Brown, has not been. I don't even think AJ Brown's been to a championship game. The Titans are usually out by the divisionals. So, Jason Kelce, let's say he was probably the only one really around when the Eagles went all the way.
That will be a cool. That would be a cool. That'll be an interesting storyline coming out if the Eagles and the Kansas City make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Kelce bros out there.
Brother be brother.
Yeah. But just the way Jalen Hurts plays, it's something else, man.
They're scoring points, and their defense is very opportunistic.
Yeah.
The stats don't jump out on you on paper, but when you watch them play,
Yeah.
they're always making a play. They're a defense that you can't look at the stats and say, and define them. You have to watch them play.
Right.
And I think, so it's going to be tough. I'm probably going to bet. I'll probably take the points and bet the Niners.
Go with the spread. Don't ever bet straight up.
Yeah. Sometimes that money line's pretty nice. I bet the money line on Cincinnati over Buffalo, and that paid out pretty well.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I had a couple people over at the house that bet the same thing, but they were saying like, "Oh, Josh Allen doesn't deserve to win." I'm like, "Why? He's too full of himself." I'm like, I don't think that's true.
Right.
If
that was the marker of quarterbacks, then no quarterback would deserve to win. They're all full of themselves.
Yeah.
They have to be.
Look at Joe Burrow.
Right. Oh, yeah, I got
You've seen the video. He does a pirouette after he throws it, 50 yards down the field. I'm like, yeah, I don't get the logic, but whatever justifies you rooting for the Bengals today, fine.
Yeah, if you're a starting quarterback, you have to have that mentality that you're the best.
Otherwise, what are you doing out there?
If you're a football player, I mean, anybody shouldn't it's not just quarterback.
No, God, yeah. Wide receivers are the worst at it, too. Yeah. T.O., number one example.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown, example number two.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, hey, that's the NFC. You for San Fran, me for Philly.
Yep.
Best man win. AFC Championship, same day, Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Bengals, number 3 seed, travel to Kansas City, number 1. Notoriously hard place to win, Kansas City. The only team that's had a lot of success winning in Kansas City has been Cincinnati, though. This is what, their third matchup? This is the rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. Then they had a rematch in the middle of the season, or the regular season. And now this is their third matchup, I believe.
Yeah.
And the Bengals have won 2 out of 3. It's hard to beat a team 3 times, though.
Yeah.
But I'm still going with them because if this feels like Patrick Mahomes was the Brady kryptonite, pretty much, right? They went back and forth there from 2020, 2021. That was the rivalry. Now it's Burrow Mahomes, I think, is the biggest rivalry here. And I'm also going Bengals because they are mad that people already bought tickets to a neutral site for the AFC Championship game in Atlanta.
Yeah.
They are upset. People already counted them out 2 weeks before the game was ever even played.
Yeah.
Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, that defense, they are a unit. They are a unit. I think they're going to win again. I think they're going to do it in Arrowhead.
Yeah.
I really do.
No, and for some reason they just feel like the team of destiny. They just feel like they are, a well-oiled machine. I'm not going to say well-coached, but well-oiled machine that makes the plays when you need to. Every time I watch Kansas City, though, they are a unit. They are complete. So they can, move the ball on you quickly. Patrick Mahomes, even without 100%, can make throws that no other human on this planet can make. Joe Burrow is a phenomenal passer. The way he can accurately put the ball down the field, I love his long ball. I mean, Joe Burrow just has that ability and the way he reads the field. But I think Patrick Mahomes there is no play that I do not think there. There's no position in the field that I think Kansas City can't score at a moment's notice, and they're so good with the chunk plays. I do, and I think it's Kansas City. I don't think it's that close. Of course, I'm gonna listen more and keep an update on Patrick Mahomes' leg. It's just gonna be the same crap. They're gonna tell you he's fine or whatever the media, the sports media says. Or whatever the narrative they try to create. But I do. I'm going to go Kansas City on that, and I am much more confident in that than I am.
It is the safe. I mean, it is the safe one. But I'm a huge fan of seeing new teams in the championship. Right, San Fran and Kansas City.
Cincinnati was there last year.
Yeah, but they didn't win it. You know what I mean? Kansas City's won theirs.
Yeah.
The Rams won theirs. San Fran already has 5.
Yeah.
Granted, it's been a while, but they already have 5. I don't want another team crowding the only teams with 6.
Yeah.
I'm still mad New England's there. You know what I mean? Like, as a Steelers fan, that was pretty much our whole argument. It was like 6 rings. That's all we have.
Did I give you my theory on why I think Steelers fans should root for 49ers?
No.
So here's my theory. So here's what I'm thinking, right? So, the Steelers, they are a proud organization, a small organization, a little bit of a cheap organization. But they are a proud organization, right? And the thing that they have over, a lot of teams is, they are tied, they have the most Super Bowl wins. I think if San Francisco enters the chat, right, if they entered that realm, what this may do is it may plant the seed, and I understand that the Steelers are built by a system, and it's a system that they follow. However, I do think that there's a seed that is planted in the head office, those head honchos, the Rooneys and the Omars of that building. Hey, maybe we will spend a little bit more in free agency. Maybe we'll be a little more aggressive before the trade deadline. So we are again the elite team. With the most Super Bowls. So I do think there's a psychological, aspect that could inspire, a team tying the Super Bowl franchise record. So I didn't
think of it. I didn't think of it that way.
That would be my claim. That would be my appeal to the Steelers fans. Hey, listen, guys. Maybe we can, maybe can rally together, and the voice of the collective will be heard by the leaders of the Steelers organization.
We can only hope.
Yeah. So that's my plea to Steelers fans.
That makes sense. I had a similar idea with wanting the Bengals to win. It would be their first Super Bowl ever.
Yeah.
Well, they've been to them before, but they've never won.
Yeah.
This would be their first win ever. Hey, good for you. You got one. Pat on the back. Now back to the bottom of the basement with you in the AFC North. But also same mentality. Bengals get a Super Bowl. Oh darn. Now the Steelers aren't, hey, one of our biggest rivals just won the Super Bowl. Maybe we should stop them from doing that again. So kind of same mentality, but different in a way that it's more, I'm thinking more home, like Homer mentality of just, well, we don't want Cincinnati to succeed all that much. You know what I mean? They can have 1, but 2 is ridiculous.
I don't want this. Because I will never forget this. Artie Burns was picked because Cincinnati chose the corner that the Steelers were looking at, William Jackson, the third.
Yeah.
And then we were forced to take Artie Burns, who ended up being horrible. So if the Bengals win the Super Bowl, they will once again be the pick before the Steelers' first pick in the second round.
Oh, that's true.
And those I still can't forgive him for that. I hate it. I mean, I loved Artie Burns' story, taking care of his family, University of Florida, I think it was University of Florida. Maybe it was Miami. I don't know. It was one of those. That's another state we can cut off is Florida.
We're just gonna, and you know what? If we could somehow extricate New York up and out, just
I like New York. I like New York. I went to New York.
never been, not impressed.
You never back.
Look, they have like 3 football teams, and none of them are in the playoffs anymore. You have 3 chances, and you can't do it. So you don't get to be a state anymore. See ya. So with a little bit of time we have left, I wanted to ask a couple of questions because we're running out of teams to talk about, right? We're kind of moving on from just talking like recaps of games. Otherwise, our show would be 10 minutes long. So I want to know, who's your favorite quarterback coming into this weekend? Of the 4 that are left, that's Brock Purdy, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and oh my God, I'm blanking.
It's the AFC quarterbacks. I mean, Joe
Yeah.
Burrow. I mean, Joe Burrow, who I like. Just as Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback of them, but who I like the most, who I'm kind of like rooting for deep down in the subconscious, would probably be Joe Cool Burrow.
Joe Cool. Yeah, that was my pick as well. I literally have it right here. Dude is so freaking cool.
Yeah.
There's no pressure on his shoulders. Like,
Yeah.
even if there was, you would think it's weightless. Like, he's just walking around like, yeah, whatever, guys. Like, this is one of the favorite things I think he said was like, and I think last year he said it, like, the Super Bowl is the standard now.
Yeah.
So when everyone's all like, oh my God, you guys are going to the Super Bowl or in the AFC Championship again, he's like, yeah, I told you. Every year we're going to be here. Like, it's not a surprise for him because he knows he's going to make it every year, or at least he hopes to, So yeah, I think, yeah, that is just that. Ooze is cool, but white guy suburban cool. He's he's fun to watch. I'll give him that. So, all right, and then the next question I had was, which team do you think looks the best? And the best can mean anything for you. Going into this weekend, you don't even have to. It doesn't even have to be one of your picks to win. Just who do you think looks the best coming in here?
I mean, it's got to be San Francisco because top down, from their secondary to the line to everybody minus the quarterback, which I know is the most important position in the team. It's got to be San Francisco. Coaching, everything, and that's they don't have a weakness. And like I was telling you in the newsroom, you put Kenny Pickett in that team,
Yeah.
they're still there. They're still there.
Yep. Yeah, I would tend to agree with you on most of those points, but I'm actually going to go with the Eagles. To me, look the best, and to me, the best means the most complete all-around team.
Yeah.
With Jalen Hurts in there, the running back, the wide receivers are out there. I mean, again, AJ Brown I don't think he was thrown that much in the Giants game, right? They did a really good job of covering him. Didn't matter. They had 8 other guys that they could send out there and go, okay, cool. AJ, and I think he accepted his role too. He wasn't blowing up on the sideline like, oh, why aren't I getting the ball? He understood his role for the betterment of the team was to take away another defender from another guy. Their line looks awesome. Their defense is a problem for a lot of people. They took a Giants team, right? And the Giants were on a big upswing, coming off a Vikings win. It was close. It was gritty. It was, hey, we're going to, Giants, hey, they're going to do it. They're going to the divisional round for the first time in 10 years or whatever. They look great. The future is bright for the New York Giants. And the Eagles went, no. And they nipped that in the bud as fast as they could. They were like, no, let me show you who the Giants really are. And the Giants are really a 38-7 team.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
And it was a garbage time 7 points, not even one that mattered. So I honestly think the Eagles, to me, look the best coming into it. They're not actually. Yeah, I actually do think I'm gonna make a prediction. So we kind of went over this with our championship picks. I'm predicting an Eagles-Bengals Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, according to my picks, I'm picking a San Fran 49ers
rematch.
Or 49ers Kansas City.
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
Do you want to stick with that, or do you want to change your picks now?
No. I mean, I'm my betting picks, but I'm gonna stick solid. I'm at the Kansas City. They are my Super Bowl favorites. They have been, and I like how San Francisco. I've stuck with them this long. They haven't proved me wrong yet, so I'm gonna roll with him.
Yeah. Again, this feels like another. I hate to even bring it up, but it's like another Tom Brady situation. How can you bet against the Chiefs?
Right.
How can you? Well, I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep trying until I'm right. Maybe when Patrick Mahomes is 47 and is still playing, maybe
in his third marriage.
Yeah, and then he'll maybe let some people down. Anything else you're looking forward to this weekend? Anything else?
I meant it's nothing. I meant free agency is a fun time. I love reading about players' contracts. That's probably one of my more things I'm in tune with. So that's.
I'm glad you are, because I don't understand a lot of the mumbo jumbo that they put in those contracts.
Yeah, well, I mean, neither do I, but I do like pretending I know. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, a lot of free agents on the Steelers up this year.
Yeah, so they're going to make some hard decisions, but the cap space with the Pittsburgh Steelers looks promising.
Okay.
I think we're going to see. I mean, you got to make a decision on Highsmith. You got to make a decision on Cam Sutton. He's going to, command a lot of money in free agency. You got to figure out something to do about the quarterback position.
Yeah,
that's going to be one. You need depth and more. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. And I've read reports that I don't think the Steelers are going to make big plays in free agency, and they have the draft capital to have that luxury of not having to spend money. So
that's what I'm looking forward to. It's just I don't watch a lot of college. I don't participate in mock drafts because I'm not that knowledgeable, but I watch the draft almost every year.
Yeah.
And even if it's just the Pat McAfee Draft Spectacular special, right, where you don't actually see the draft, but you get to see them react to it, and they read the pick out loud. Like, I don't care. I am there to see who's picking who. And like, if it's a name that they're like, whoa, I'll look it up like while I'm watching. Okay, what did this kid do? Like, what's the big deal here?
William Jackson III, who the Steelers, I think, spent a 5th round draft pick on, is not expected to resign with the team. And that
just get him in like week 10.
He was able. No, as soon as he got there, he got hurt. So that was a problem. That was part of the issue.
So we signed him, gave up a draft pick. He got hurt, played a couple more games, and then decides he doesn't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think the Steelers are looking to put that kind of capital in that position. And the linebacker position, man, that is going to be tough. I know, the popular, opinion, and I do think that's media driven is Bush, but he had a very, very strong season this year. I think I would very much like to see him come back. That is something that is probably not going to happen. Edmonds has been floated around as coming to the Steelers, so that'll be something interesting to watch.
That'll be fun. Last little thing, our boy Matt is sticking with the team. Matt Canada.
Oh yeah, I mean, how do we not talk about that?
Yeah, Matt Canada, our boy, our favorite. I think he's our biggest fan.
And the Steelers are they're a real wonderful organization. Sometimes you do have to question that, but they are. So here's what I think this is the mindset of the Steelers front office is they know they don't pay coordinators very highly.
True.
But they do know that, hey, at least you're not going to get paid the highest, but you're going to have the best work environment, and you're also going to very, very, very likely be able to work your entire contract out with us. So, and we see that all the time.
Yeah, Todd Haley was a big one.
Yeah, and he was problematic. I mean, he had some issues in the city.
Yeah. Even Ben Roethlisberger was like, "Yo, get this guy out of here," and they're like, "Yeah, sorry, Ben, but
that offense looked good under Haley, though.
Yeah,
he had the killer bees.
Yeah, when you have the players, it doesn't really matter, and I think that's what they want. I think, and let me pretend that I'm a Rooney here for a second, that I own the Steelers. I want Kenny Pickett to not just bounce from offensive coordinator to offensive coordinator. I want him to, let's give him one more full year with Kenny Pickett and see if they can put an offense together with them. If this year doesn't work out, I don't know what his contract looks like, but I see, hey, you know what? We gave you a couple years with them. It hasn't worked out. Thanks. We'll be in touch kind of deal. But I have no idea. But if it were me, I would want my quarterback to get used to an offensive coordinator, not just bounce them around.
Sure, stability is important.
Yeah, stability is important. But like you said, the Steelers are a loyal franchise, and if you work for them, you have job security. So
Absolutely.
that's pretty much all it is. So hey, man, looking forward to championship weekend.
Championship weekend.
Going to be a big one. We only have 3 more weeks of football.
Okay.
But we're working on some behind the scenes stuff. We might be moving out of the radio station and into
the radio closet.
Yeah, the radio closet with our Christmas lights. Moving out of this and more into just pre-recorded stuff and maybe a little bit more deep dive and not just game analysis. But we're still working on it behind the scenes. We'll get out some more info when we know more. So until then, everyone, thank you all so much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you back here 4 o'clock next Wednesday in the chair.
In the chair. Bye, everybody. Bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.
And
Goodbye forever.